welcome to the BoshNRoll channel. If you want to support my daily Eternal Magic offerings while getting amazing perks like the BoshNRoll Discord community, have me play your deck on the channel, or listen sideboard guides before tournaments, check out the Patreon or YouTube membership program. This channel is possible because of these amazing sponsors. Check them out, all their links are in the video description. As always, thanks for being here. Let's go play some Magic.
Welcome back to the BoshNRoll channel. Today I'm playing Legacy, and I have a dealer's choice from Patreon subscriber John, who wanted to see a Legacy deck of my choosing. And I'm choosing to feature the deck that won the GenCon Secret Lair Showdown and the $48,000 Dark Ritual promo card. It was piloted by Burnt Taco, who I have featured on this channel before, a deck builder I recently became aware of, and I've been very impressed by everything that they're putting out. According to Burnt Taco's Twitter, went 8-1 versus Scam over the weekend, which is a good place to be with a deck in this current deeply broken metagame. And you'll notice this deck does not contain Grief, which is the card that we all wanted banned 3 months ago. And with a ban list update coming in just a couple weeks now, Grief might not be enough. But that's a different conversation. Check out the Eternal Glory podcast if you want to hear us talk about bans. This deck, what it is doing is all the fair stuff that Riscaminator does, basically just a Dimir tempo deck. We've got Nethergoyf, a card that has been consistently crushing me lately across multiple formats. Psychic Frog, the new Dreadhorde Arcanist, the new poster child for this is probably too good for Legacy. I have 2 different Orcish Bowmasters somehow. I don't know how this happened. I have 0 of these in my collection, but there's 3 copies of Orcish Bowmaster, another card that has been clamored to be banned in the past. And it's just baked into the Force of Will, Daze, Brainstorm, Wasteland package that, again, people have clamored to get banned in the past. It's basically just a pile of insane cards, some of which may or may not be legal in Legacy forever. And it's in a shell that has pointed its flex slots directly at Scam. 2 main deck Nile Spellbomb. We know who that's for. And then 2 copies of Stifle. The Scam Reanimator mana base is insanely greedy. It plays like 15 or 16 lands. Half those lands are fetch lands, and they rely heavily on Troll of Khazad-dûm. A lot of the times they have to keep hands that are like Wasteland Troll and cycle into black mana before they do stuff. You don't mulligan a hand like that, but it also has problems, and if you stifle that Troll, they might just have Wasteland for mana for a while. And if you're doing stuff like crushing for 5 a turn, or crushing for somewhere between 1 and 7 a turn while drawing a card, your opponent doesn't have time to stumble on their mana. 4 copies of Fatal Push, plus a Go for the Throat. These all kill Psychic Frog, which is the main thing we need to kill in Legacy right now. And this is just a lean, mean, Delver-esque, though doesn't actually contain Delver, Dimir's Psychic Frog deck. No Grief, leaning in against Riscaminator. And if only Grief ends up getting banned at the end of August, this is a great place to start in the new format. Let's get into it. This is Dimir Tempo from Burnt Taco. I'm on the draw in round number 1. I'm going to keep my hand. It has Psychic Frog and a way to protect it. I like those things. I wish one of these lands was some spell, like a Nethergoyf for a Brainstorm or something, a Daze, but that's not enough to mulligan it. Underground Sea Ponder could be the mirror, could be the Scam that we were out here targeting. They shuffled their Ponder, and there's a long pause after the Ponder, which makes me wonder if they were thinking about griefing me. Because what would you do after a Ponder? If you're going to shuffle your Ponder and I'm not doing anything anyway, I'm going to zap off this Wasteland, go for the cheese. If they played a 1-drop or if they kept their Ponder, either way I would not have Wastelanded there, but the conditions were right to try to take the shot. Scalding Tarn. They didn't miss a land drop, but they also didn't have a 1-drop again. Now with Brainstorm and Murktide, plenty of blue cards to pitch. I can Ponder happily. Nile Spellbomb, but I have to draw more lands if I want to keep that. I feel like that's probably going to be good, but I also just want to cast Psychic Frog next turn. I'm going to shuffle this. That's just too many lands. If it was Spellbomb and another spell, and I could just draw spells and make land drops from my hand, I would have rocked with it, but I don't want to have to go through those lands. End step, Underground Sea, Entomb. Gonna force pitching Murktide Regent. Okay. That fight is over. They didn't force me back. Confirmed they are Reanimator. Grief exiling Fatal Push. This is really dangerous because if they do have a Reanimate, they'll end up with my Psychic Frog here. And I'm just F6'd. I can't do anything. If I was 100% sure they were Scaminator, I might have kept the Nihil Spellbomb last turn. It still would have been too slow for this line, but just having access to it is nice. Takes a lot of pressure off what could happen to you in the game. Okay, they passed without doing anything. Oh, baby. Well, I think I just want to Wasteland them here. They didn't reanimate last turn when they knew the coast was clear. Brainstorming in response. Like, we've seen Fatal Push. We know they're going to have Daze in their deck. If I can cast Psychic Frog when they don't have an Island or Black Source in play, that's just way better for me. This could, of course, fail, but I'm doing what I can do here. I'm doing the plays that make sense with what's in front of me. Them cycling a Troll would be the nuts here for them. They didn't cycle Troll, that's good. Moment of Truth. Are you Brainstorm locked? Came up with a tap land, okay. It's not a spell, and it clears the other Brainstorm card, which was Atraxa, yikes. Okay, this fetch land is exciting. I'm going to Brainstorm, and if they want to Daze the Brainstorm and be down to Daze, I'm okay with that. This Brainstorm was awful. I put back Underground Sea and Swamp. I can Force of Will, but it cost me my Frog. Oh, I was supposed to put Sewers back. Damn it, I literally thought in my head, I'll fetch for Sewers this turn, and then I just put back 2 different lands instead. That was a big mistake. How many of these are in the list? Just one. Yep, I fucked up. And every card matters in these matchups, which means it's a bad time to mess up on Undersea Sewers. Good time to have Force Blue card in my hand, though. I've got 2 Wastelands. I guess I'm just fetching basic Swamp anyway. A Wasteland's good. A Frog is good. Nether Goyf is mid, but I'll take it. It applies pressure. Sewers. Nihil Spellbomb. I'm going to put that on top and hope they don't have Reanimate right now. Okay, Moment of Truth. They're in their turn. Land. They just drew that. I feel like they would have played that other than instead of the second Wasteland if they had that previously. Oh my goodness, they're passing the turn. Sweet relief. I think I'm going to attack first here. What am I worried about them doing? The Bowmaster doesn't kill this. I'm not just going to zap off Spellbomb, so I don't need to worry about my artifact count. I could have attacked for 1 more with Goyf. Any chance they have Spell Pierce? They could have double Daze. I am going to play out my land and just do my best to make sure the Spellbomb resolves. I think that's worth more than bluffing that I have a card in my hand or having that in my hand to Brainstorm away. Just making sure that no sequence of soft counters can beat this very important card. It's got a Ponder. Basic mana, or colorless mana in the pool. Troll of Khazad-dûm is the only thing it could be, unless they also main deck a Nihil Spellbomb. Found and played Underground Sea, 2 cards in hand. Brainstorm. They're seeing a lot of cards, but I have somewhere between 5 and 7 cards in their deck turned off completely right now. I guess if we count the 3 Entombs, it's closer to 10. I'm not going to fetch. I don't know my top card. I'm out of Surveil lands. Just drawing cards. Brainstorm's pretty good. I will fire it. Try to push this advantage while I have it. Tamiyo and Goyf. What's up? I just want another Goyf here. Spring the pain. There's already a Psychic Frog in my graveyard, so I don't need to play Goyf pre-combat in case they counter it. This fetch puts them to dead on board. Nihil Spellbomb makes the Goyfs 5s. They just land, go. I actually like the card on top of my deck. And I'm going to attack my opponent with 2 Nether Goyfs. They did not block. I'm going to Spellbomb them. I'm just going to try to go for the win here. They would need a removal spell because we're past blocks. Okay, cool. All right, I mean, there was 1 turn where the shields were down and it was terrifying, but then it was fine. Otherwise, Dark Betrayal, new legacy staple. Go for the throat, Dark Betrayal. Grafdigger's Cage. Barrow-Goyf is a unit. Also, new legacy sideboard staple, it seems. 42 tickets is what this costs on Magic Online right now. Another commander printing, only available in treasure chests. I'm sure Burnt Taco knew exactly what the plan was going into this big event. That was one. and I'm just sort of making it up as I go. I definitely don't want Force of Will in this matchup. I do want these cards, and I'm pretty sure I want these cards. In Days on the draw is a tough sell most of the time. If my plan is just play to the board and have lock pieces like Grafdigger's Cage and Nile Spellbomb, then we don't really need Days either. I could see shaving a Bauble if I want another Days. I think I want the Murktide. I could see Tamiyo being mid in this matchup. I'm going to try basically no counterspells and just play to the board. See how that works for me. Alright, Goyf theme deck. I will keep this. After seeing main deck Nile Spellbomb, it'll be interesting if they're even still on the Reanimator package. And I would honestly suspect that they're not, if I had to make a guess. I'm going to bobble myself before making my land drop and decide if I want this card or not. Psychic Frog, I do want this card. Nether Goyf arrives as a 1/2. I just did a giant order of MH3 cards off TCG Player and forgot to include Nether Goyf. I'm realizing this as I'm playing this league right now. Guess I'll be back on TCG Player. Use my affiliate code to support the channel while shopping. Opponent's got a Brainstorm and a Shuffle. They're doing the basic land thing this game that I taught them last game. You just adopted basic lands. I was born to them. Okay, I'm going to attack with Nether Goyf. I'm going to fetch before damage to get the extra point through. I am also going to work on basic lands here. I'm going to get the Swamp because Tarn can get Island. And I'm kind of just ramming stuff here. Rammed a powerful 1, rammed a powerful 2, going to ram a powerful 3. If they ram a powerful 7/7, they're going to get me. But like I said, I'd be surprised if that package is still in the deck right now. Wasteland. Psychic Frog. We're frog gaming. But I have the first frog, and I have removal ready for their frog. Both of which are things that favor me in a frog battle. A Fatal Push. Play my land first to play around Days. If they Force of Will this, I'm going to fetch and cast another Fatal Push. Their shit is just gone. That means I can Ponder to make Goyf bigger before combat. Another Goyf Brainstorm land. I'll hide Brainstorm on top, and I will take these cards. I'll end up with the Brainstorm in hand anyway. Barrow Goyf is 5/6. Nether Goyf is 4/5. Frog can be 5/6 if I need it to be. Or, nope, 6/7. Brainstorm. At this point, I think they're going to have to Entomb Reanimate me to have a chance. They're way behind on this board. Scalding Tarn. I guess if they fetch here and play 2 Fatal Pushes, they've caught up. But then I slam Barrow Goyf. Ponder. Still digging. They shuffled the Ponder. Have not found what they're looking for. Black in the pool. Reanimate Psychic Frog. Yep, that happens. Got another Fatal Push. Costs you 2 life to do nothing useful. I could jump my frog, make them commit to jumping their frog before I cast this Fatal Push. I think I'd rather just have it dead and leave my graveyard stocked for my various Goyfs. Fatal Push. Attack first. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. What could they even do? I'm just going to discard cards here. Let's get them. Guess if they have Graveyard Hate, that might be bad for me. There's no creatures in my graveyard, so discarding a creature gives me 2 power. Alright, yep, just got ahead with Psychic Frog and kicked their teeth in. Welcome to the new legacy. Forget about grief. This is what we're mad about now. On to the next round.
This video is sponsored by Moxfield.com, the easiest way to build Magic decks online. Moxfield supports over 30 formats, including Legacy and everything else you'll see on this channel. There's multiple customizations so you can interact with your deck how you want. Views such as text, grid, or stacks. And groupings like type, subtype, color, color identity, even artist. The site offers light mode, dark mode, and so much more. However you want to see your deck, Moxfield can provide it for you. Follow my Moxfield to keep up with the channel and what I'm playing in paper. I'll see you there.
I'm on the draw in round 2 with a pretty defensive hand. I think that's fine. I talk about this every time I play a blue tempo strategy in Legacy. One of the most common mistakes I see people make when they move into this strategy or move into this format is they think they have to mulligan their Delver decks until they have a threat and a counterspell. And I could just pick off what they're doing for a while and decide where I stand after a couple turns. and there will be threats in there eventually. We're playing against Eldrazi, it seems. Ooh, okay. Wasting Eye of Ugin always feels kind of bad because it's a legendary land. You might just unlock another one. It also doesn't tap for mana for stuff like Chalice of the Void. If I give them a turn, what could happen? They could resolve a Thought-Knot Seer, which I could Fatal Push. But I'm closer to Psychic Frog. I could also Day something. I'm actually going to play the Delta here. Because Eye of Ugin could be a sign that they're out of lands to play, or it could just be, this is my worst land, go ahead, waste it. And either way, getting a land down is probably better. Secluded Courtyard. I am happy to kill something like Fleshraker. Don't think I want to Daze. I'll just push it in the end step. They are a wasteland strategy. Fatal Push this jerk. Now I have some choices. A, resolve Psychic Frog. B, wasteland one of their lands. C, which land, if it is that. I can Daze a Kozilek's Command, which is the card I'd be really worried about if I lead on Frog. Yeah, I'm going to Frog here and try to solo the game with it. And then Wasteland just gets so much better if I'm drawing a card after using it. Cavern of Souls. Okay. Can't Daze any Eldrazi creatures anymore. Thought-Knot Seer resolves. Obviously, it cannot interact with that thanks to the Cavern, but I am bigger than that in combat. I took Brainstorm. Don't want me fixing this hand. That is starting to get mediocre. It would cost me 3 cards to kill Thought-Knot Seer in combat. I am happy to pay that price. They probably just don't block, because I draw a card if they do block, and I draw a card if they don't, but they also lose a 4/4 if they do. Yeah, they're just not blocking, which I think is correct. Tamiyo. Okay, I could go Tamiyo, Wasteland. I could go Wasteland Bowmaster. I could go Tamiyo Bowmaster, don't Wasteland. I think that's really bad, though. If I'm going to Wasteland, do I want to take them off 2 mana with Eye of Ugin or the uncounterable with Cavern of Souls? Probably the 2 is what I'm more worried about. But again, Eye of Ugin being a legendary land, they could just be sandbagging here. I'm going to waste the Eye of Ugin. And does Bowmaster actually do anything? Is my other question, or should I just get this Tamiyo into play? Does Tamiyo do anything? She cranks out clue tokens. If I pass, I'm also representing Stifle, which doesn't have a lot of hits in this matchup. But I am representing it, just in case. I could Stifle another Thought-Knot ETB, I guess. I'm probably boarding these Stifles out, just for the record. Okay, I can Stifle Linebreaker's trigger, which would save me a lot of damage. I am going to do that. And I take 4 in combat. Get another good attack with Psychic Frog. More Bowmasters, not what I want. Attack you with Frog. I'm not going to give it flying. I'd rather kill the Linebreaker if they try to block. Okay, that's a pretty big creature. The Ponder makes it even bigger. Ponder. Wasteland, okay. Wasteland Brazen Borrower are a pair of heaters here. Wasteland, take out the Temple or the Cavern. Again, here we go. I think with Daze in my hand, I actually want to take out the Cavern at this point. And Nethergoyf is a big O. I can discard a creature to make it a bigger O. I do have multiple creatures in my hand that aren't even good. Happy to discard them. You've got a Wasteland. You know I have a Daze. Okay, you know it doesn't matter. Okay. Is this lethal? It's going to be a lot. It'll depend on where they put their stats, I guess. They're statting up both of the line breakers, which puts me to 2. But I can block Thought-Knot Seer, go to 2, eat the Thought-Knot Seer, discard this Orcish Bowmaster. That's a 4/5 now. Okay, I'm at 2, which is not a whole lot. I can answer one of these things temporarily. Am I just on defense? That's so whack, if true, but it might be true. Yeah, if they have any Eldrazi, I'm dead. If I attack with Psychic Frog. I can attack for 11 right now. Yeah, I think I just have to pass back and hope they kind of run out of gas here. The double Linebreaker is way too much. And these things have trample as well. The Bowmaster isn't a good answer to them. Yeah, just gonna pass. Starting to fall behind here. That card's really good. Dazing it doesn't do anything. If they just cast like Lotus Petal here, I think that kills me. Yeah, okay. Okay, so I go to 1 off this trigger. And that's another Eldrazi in play that can attack. Let's see where they put their line breaker targets. Okay, they're just statting up one giant trample monster. That does play well into my Brazen Borrower. I could discard my hand and trade with this thing. I think that is just insane and not functional, though. Brazen Borrow that. I'm at 1. Just dead to any colorless spell, including the one I just put in their hand for next turn. Oh, I could have double dazed this Fleshraker. It didn't even occur to me. Bad. Loose. How do I ever win this game? I don't think I can anymore. Maybe if I double daze Fleshraker, but then I just died of the trample thing. Never mind. I was locked out. I think I have to jump the frog and try to find... There's nothing I even can find. It's Wasteland. Do we play 3 or 4 Wastelands? 4. There is 1 Wasteland in the deck. If I could take them off colored mana, they can't replay the Line Breaker. Okay. Wasteland, Delta, Delta out of my deck. Frog flies now. Attack with this thing. There's probably a sequence of cards that we could go back if we want to review the entire game and think about, like, if I just discarded 3 cards to... Dead. If I just, like, discarded 3 cards to Psychic Frog on the first attack, I would have won the race. But also, I don't know, maybe the second they play the Cavern, I'm supposed to discard Daze and just start pushing extra damage. Because we did end up just kind of behind there. Lots of sideboard for this. Consign to Memory, Harbinger, Barrogoyf, Go for the Throat are all yeses. Brazen Borrower is a maybe. I think Bowmaster is kind of bad. Nile Spellbound definitely doesn't do anything. Stifle does nothing I want to do. Hitting the Line Breaker thing once was fine, but that's not really what I want to be doing with my mana. Daze. They're a big mana deck that also has Cavern of Souls. I think I want to just generally chill on counterspells a little bit. But I am a Wasteland deck, so having some counterspells in for situations where I could lock it up. Weighing Force of Will versus Orcish Bowmaster is interesting. Is Tamiyo even good? Bobble grows my Goyfs and turns on Fatal Push. All of that's important. Force of Will versus Bowmaster. I think I'm actually going to cut a Bowmaster and get my 4th Force back in. Because that is my best card if they don't have Cavern. Or not my best card, but it's one of my best cards if they don't have Cavern. And I have as many Wastelands as they have Caverns. But I have more cantrips to find them. Engineered Explosives can clear out things like Mox Diamond, Lotus Petal, and Chalice of the Void. I think I'm just out on Daze, up on Force. Oh, Snuff Out also kills their creatures. What do I do with that information? Lose another Bowmaster? It's a lot of removal. Bring in 10 cards. I'll try it. Okay. Hand that is horrendous versus Wasteland, but fine otherwise. I am going to lead on Goyf. This is a regular 18 land tempo deck. There's no Florian Revealeds or Trolls that we're cheating on mana with. I'm going to bobble them. I don't have a shuffle, so bobbling myself doesn't matter. Dismember on top of the deck. Okay. Well, my Goyf can die if they want it to. If I just find a land, it'll take a lot of stress off. Okay. Now I don't care if I get Wastelanded. Basic Forest. Do I take the shot here? I think I do. They just dismembered me. I'm going to force pitching Ponder. I think I'd rather get Tamiyo going than cast Ponder. Don't tell Ponder I said that. Tamiyo, play her. I am going to fetch because it makes Nether Goyf bigger. Just get the Undercity Sewers. We are just shoving damage right now. And fueling Murktide. Brazen Borrower, that makes the thing bigger. Beats a Thought-Knot Seer in combat now. If they play a creature that isn't Thought-Knot Seer, I can snuff it out, go to my turn, attack for 4, then play Murktide. Cavern of Souls. I don't care about stuff like Chalice of the Void at this point. Dismember does kill this. Yeah, there's no tricks with Snuff Out here, because I already have a creature and instant in the graveyard. If I could have snuffed my Tamiyo to save it, I would have. It costs 3 to escape this. I'm just going to shove Murktide. Attack with Tamiyo. Do I Brainstorm? Does that even matter? Because if I Brainstorm, Tamiyo flips. And if Brainstorm also finds a blue source, I get a bigger Murktide and a Planeswalker. Or I could just play the sure thing here. I'm going for the sure thing. It's just a 4/4. but that is 2 hits. And if they tap Ancient Tomb, it's even worse. Wasteland, I'm past that. Kozilek's Command, they are making a spawn and exiling Tameo. I can't brainstorm in response to Savor. Ponder. I'd love a Wasteland here. Oh, we did it. Okay, Wasteland, take out the Cavern of Souls. Attack for 4. Put you DOB. I think I should actually snuff out this spawn as well. Them being dead on board and with only 2 mana. Okay, cool. Just think of that as like, would I pay 4 life to sinkhole them this turn? The answer is yes. And just be aggressive in a spot where your opponent is dead and struggling. Speaking of dead and struggling, now I'm on the draw. I think I just kind of have all my good cards in already and my bad cards out. Bowmaster's bad against the trample thing and mostly doesn't matter, but Raise the Alarm is a fine card versus 2 Thought-Knot Seers or 1 Thought-Knot Seer. Yeah, this is just the deck in the construction that I can make for it. Except we're on the draw where everything's worse. Okay, I mean, force blue card and removal spell. I'll try it. Gonna keep my hand. Opponent also kept basic wastes. Let's go. Nethergoyf, also let's go. I'm gonna bobble myself, see if I like the card. Psychic Frog, I like the card a lot. Nethergoyf. Yeah, this hand of interaction, but no threats, just became insane as I runnered a 1-drop, 2-drop threat off the top. Secluded Courtyard. Mox Diamond. Interesting. Yeah, countering that would have been a hero play. But they already made their land drop for the turn, so I don't have to worry about Cavern of Souls. I feel like I hesitated slightly longer than I should have on the Mox Diamond, and now they can think about counterspells a little bit. Kozilek's Command. They're doing the draw card. I think I would actually rather let this resolve and cast Psychic Frog next turn with my counterspell still up. They bottomed their card. Psychic Frog is the bigger threat here. Barrogoyf's bigger than all of them. Frog. Pass. Couldn't Cavern of Souls off Kozilek's Command anyway, so we can't rule out Cavern of Souls in the hand at this point. Playing Eldrazi Temple might rule out Cavern of Souls, though. 6 mana is probably a Sowing Myco spawn. Yeah, so they get to exile one of my lands. Oh, they get to kill both my lands here. Right, that's how that works. Neither of these are ETB abilities, even the kicker. Okay. I'll let them search first and commit to that decision before they know whether they have a 3/3 or not. Like if they get Wasteland here, then Force of Will still on, and maybe I just bully their 3/3 in combat and keep Force in my hand. Daze would have been insane here. Pick up the land they're targeting and counter their spell. They did get Wasteland. Okay. I think that means I'm going to keep the Force in my hand. Okay. My lands are dead. My own Wasteland. I attack you. I'm happy to discard 2 cards to win in combat here. I'll discard... I'm never casting this Barrogoyf at this point. Frog's going to do it, or it's not going to get done. Right, discard 2 cards. Then waste the Eldrazi Temple. Okay. Solo Frog Gaming. This is something that's come up on the channel before, especially in my playoff versus Andreas Peterson that I did, where is it worth yeeting your whole board to have a big Psychic Frog? No! The bounce! Ah! This was the thing that I couldn't beat here. Shit. Alright. That was the perfect follow-up to what just happened, and now I regret everything I've done for the last several turns. But we're back in there. I have another big creature. Unfortunately, I have to fetch a non-basic to cast it. Maybe I'm supposed to fetch Island there, just take 2 for a turn, and try to set up basics. They've got a Dismember that does kill my creature, and they have Wasteland to follow up. I think I just force pitching Frog. Now it's Nethergoyf's job to get this done. I'm never going to cast this Frog if they Wasteland me. Okay, we both have 1 card in hand. They have 3 mana to my 0. Harbinger of Seas doesn't even stop what they're doing at this point. I think I'll concede as soon as they beat Nethergoyf, but for now, we are still playing. Eldrazi Temple, alright. I'm at 16. Another Brainstorm in my hand. Just smash into each other until somebody runs out of life points. Glaring Fleshraker, that can generate a bunch of chumps. That stinks. Yeah, that bounce off the Battle Mage specifically being the thing they had was so messed up for me. Get used to it, folks. Eldrazi is part of our metagame now, like it or not. And the wise designers of Modern Horizons 3 decided that what Eldrazi needed was more interaction and stuff that works with the busted mana they already had. The only thing keeping Eldrazi down in the past was the fact that the deck was so linear, and it was really just like if Eldrazi Mimic into Thought-Knot Seer into Reality Smasher with Chalice of the Void up doesn't win the game, then you're not winning the game. And now that is not the case anymore. Wasteland, I think it's better for me to have Wasteland in play, and I have to stop attacking now because I'm not winning the race. You're casting another spell. Oh my god, it's a big one. It's a Kozilek's command. Oh my god, Null Drift adds so much words. Alright, you got me. Okay. It came down to specifically Wastegate Battle Mage. That is also a reason that maybe we want Stifle in. If I had seen this, I would have brought Stifles back in because this is such a monster. Maybe you're just supposed to have Stifle. Battle Mage is in and out of Eldrazi lists right now. There's a lot of decisions to make in the Eldrazi shell. Are you green? Are you red-green? Are you rug? How low to the ground are you? Are you more mid-range? Are you more ramp? And not... Battle Mage doesn't make the cut in every list, and it's usually in the sideboard if it is in lists, and maybe we should just have Stifles in to be ahead of that. But I brought in a bunch of consigns, and I just didn't draw them. So no, I think Stifle's still bad. But I brought in the two consigned to memories that we have. Yeah, this card is better than Stifle. Never mind. It's already handled. I just didn't draw it. Okay, on to the next round. That was a good match.
Welcome to TopDeck.gg, your community's home for everything competitive Magic has to offer. If you're hosting an event, playing for a huge prize, or advertising your events to thousands of players, we've got you covered. Using intuitive pairing software, playing Magic is a breeze. Players just have to sign up online, then scan the QR code in-store. Give competitors the gift of perfect information as their bracket updates in real time. The self-reporting software saves you time and leaves paper match slips in the past. Leave the heavy lifting to TopDeck.gg so your community can relax and focus on playing Magic.
I'm on the draw in round number 3, and I like my hand just fine. It's got stuff to do. Without knowing the matchup, I can't really hope to do better. Blue to Delta go. I think I'm going to use Wasteland to cast Nile Spellbomb right now. That's the only thing my hand does that could defend me versus Entomb Reanimate. And if they have a Wasteland of their own, I would prefer it takes out my Wasteland to my one colored source Underground Sea. If they have Entomb Reanimate Daze, we lose no matter what. Okay, Spellbomb's in. That takes a bunch of pressure off things that might happen out of this Underground Sea. They might also just fetch a tapped Hedge Maze and put her, up the Beanstalk on the stack next turn, and then the Spellbomb doesn't do anything. To be determined. Basic Island Ponder. Good choice of island, Mirage. I like it. I used to use the Mirage Beach Island before I got into betas and stuff. I frequently revisit Mirage when I'm trying to think of what lands to use in an EDH deck. I'm going to just hold up Bowmaster here, because if they are some just blue cards deck, Bowmaster could do old school Bowmaster things. Second basic island. This is the one I like. Good job. They heard me. Onslaught. Okay, I'm going to Bowmaster this. It's on the stack. See what I can get out of this situation. We got a Force of Will pitching a Brainstorm out of this situation. Hell yeah. I'll take a Hymn to Turok. Doesn't look like this Wasteland or this Nile Spellbomb are going to do much this game, though. I do need to watch out for Harbinger of the Seas and Back to Basics. Both of those are on the uptick because of Eldrazi being in the metagame. Also a topic that we discussed on the Eternal Glory podcast this week. Okay, Brainstorm's better because I have multiple horrible cards in my hand, but Ponder isn't going to Brainstorm lock me. I'm going to go with Brainstorm. I just hope I don't get locked. And we immediately got locked. Okay, cool. Put back Frog, and I could play out the other Nile Spellbomb and just cantrip my way through this Brainstorm over the next couple turns. Frog's definitely going back. I guess I don't need two Tamios either. Frog, Tamio. Or Frog, Ponder. I'd rather pitch Tamio to Force of Will if I have to pitch this turn. And I just didn't cast the Nile Spellbomb anyway. Oh, okay, we're Dreadnought. Fun. Whether to force the dress down or the creature is always such a challenge as well. It looks like they have a Null Drifter based on the mana that's tapped. Okay, force before they draw the cards, because that is a trigger on top of the Null Drifter. Okay. Uh-oh. They have another mana. If they also have Dreadnought here, we might just lose. I think I was probably supposed to force the dress down. In lower resource situations, I kind of like letting the dress down fly, but them having enough mana and stuff to Null Drifter and Dreadnought all at once. All right, gotta shuffle. I do play Fatal Push if I can find one. Drew the card I shuffled away. Bobble you. Another Dreadnought. Okay, let's hope that can't find a home. Nile Spellbomb. Pass the turn. Wasteland them first. Might as well at least deny what I can. And then pass the turn. We're looking for a Fatal Push or Brazen Borrower. Daze showing up a turn late, as it does. Archive. They like the card. And looks like they're going to stifle in another Dreadnought here. And Daze is too far behind to be useful. Now I'm on no outs. I can't draw 2 Fatal Pushes with the cards that I have. And I drew 0. Okay. Now we know what they're doing and we can plan better. Snuff out Engineered Explosives. Consigned to Memory counters Dreadnought itself and Null Drifter itself and Null Drifter's trigger. Okay, I'm in on Consign. Talk myself into it. Brazen Borrower is good. Barragoyf's probably not good. It's smaller than all their stuff. If I'm attacking, then it's working already. Go for the Throat does not kill Dreadnought, but it does kill Null Drifter and Doorkeeper Thrall. And Nile Spellbombs can come out. That's easy. Orcish Bowmaster was good. Stifling their development. I don't think that's how I want to slow this deck down. Enforced Harbinger. Dark Betrayal, go for the Throat. Cages. None of those cards are exciting to me. Oh, Barragoyf's in the wrong pile here. Those aren't coming out. They were in my second. All right. I was about to say I have too many cards, but that's not true. Okay, Forces, Dazes, go for the Throats out because it doesn't kill their important card. Consign to Memory hits all their payoffs. Snuff out kills every creature in their deck. Engineered Explosives is good versus Dreadnoughts. Brazen Borrower bounces anything in their deck. Okay, this is my plan. Let's go. I'm also going to recognize that basic lands are probably important here because they probably have Wasteland and they might even have Back to Basics or Harbinger of the Seas. This hand's really good. I'm going to keep it. There's multiple Fatal Pushes, defend off Dreadnoughts, multiple threats. They're going to have white removal in their deck, but their deck is trying to play from ahead and stay there. And I'm going to lead on Sewers. I'd rather double spell on 2. I'm going to bin that Ponder, just get a jump on my Nethergoyfs. Basic Island does not interact with Nethergoyf in most societies. It can stifle my fetch land, though. I'm going to bobble them. They've got a Tundra on top. I've got a Nethergoyf. I'm not going to play into Stifle. I'm just going to slow my roll. I don't have to play into it. I can play spells and removal, and if they ever tap out of their mana, I'm set. That Wasteland's a nice find, knowing that they have Tundra on top of the deck. There's Tundra, and I think I just Wasteland the Tundra before combat. This is something they could Stifle, or they could cast Swords to Plowshares off of before it's gone. Doorkeeper Thrall. Okay, that resolves. And then Wasteland works. And then I can attack for 3, or I could Brainstorm. I think I'm just going to fetch basic Swamp now. Now I'm deciding how greedy I want to be. As if their hand is 2 Dreadnoughts, a land, and a counterspell, I don't want to cast Nethergoyf this turn. If their hand is just 1 Dreadnought, then I do want to cast Nethergoyf this turn. I'm going to start by just casting Nethergoyf. And they didn't counter it. I'm going to attack for 3. Fatal Push would make this bigger. Yeah, I'm just going to push this thing whenever it happens, so might as well do it now. The greed factor would have been, can I get them to put a Dreadnought on the stack and then push in response? That's what I was hoping for, but then I realized I'd rather just push damage. And that did not get dazed or Force of Willed. They're on a 2-turn clock. Dress Down is mediocre versus Nethergoyf. It does fog for the turn and draw a card, but you can't fog my Nethergoyfs and get a Dreadnought into play off of the same dress down. There's just no timing window where that's possible. Unless you stifle the sacrifice dress down in the end step trigger. They're extracting my baubles, okay. That makes my Goyfs a little smaller, but I do only play 2 of those. So it's not devastating. Going after the Fatal Pushes would have also made Goyf smaller, and that card's really good against your deck. Okay, we're in my turn now. They fetched for a basic Plains. What's going on? Swords to Plowshares. Yeah, that's fine. I got other threats in the deck, including that one right off the tippity top. Brainstorm. Oh, that one's even better. I'm going to put back Underground Sea. Would I rather play Frog or cast 2 Goyfs? Is this game going to go into the Frog zone? Is the question. Frog can fly over a Dreadnought, which matters. The 3 Goyfs just... Alright, I'm triple Goyfing. Tri-Goyfing is what they call it. I'm going to fetch, see if they have a Stifle. They did not have a Stifle. Okay, attack with this Goyf. I probably should have just played the other one before combat. Yeah, I might have missed a damaged if they counter this. They couldn't have dazed this one. Alright, unpunished. But I think it was right to just dump them all out pre-combat. That's all 4 Nethergoyfs this game. Null Drifter can draw 2 cards, then you go to 1. I can push a Dreadnought. Dress Down can fog me for the turn. Engineered Explosives, okay. That card's good. But they're in the spot where if their hand is Null Drifter, yeah, okay. They can fog, that's fine. That won't hold forever. And I'm going to play Engineered Explosives. Do I want it on 1 or 2? 2 could kill a Dress Down next turn. 1 kills all my Goyfs. Yeah, I'm going to Explosives for 2. And this is actually lethal if they have another Dress Down, because it adds an artifact to the graveyard and gives all my creatures all their words back. I can still push a Dreadnought if I need to. With the Explosives, my creatures are bigger than Null Drifter. Doesn't even have to kill anything, it just has to go to the graveyard. 4 cards in hand, so the worst outcome of 4 cards in their hand for me is like Dress Down draws a card, they play 2 Dreadnoughts. They are dressing down. I gotta assume this is going to be a Dreadnought showing up. Now the worst spread of cards for me is Dreadnought Force blue card. So I can kill the Dreadnought and then present lethal with the Explosives. Oh, I don't even need to explode because they fetched. Okay. So Force blue card. Oh, I have lethal through Force blue card because they go to 8 and then I sack the Explosives and I push 8 damage through. Doesn't even matter. Cool. All right, sweet. Now we got to do that on the draw. The Go for the Throat is the biggest question mark for me. On the draw, Daze is worse. Force of Will in general, not a card that I like casting. This matchup is only pseudo-fair, though. They can't really do any fair stuff. I didn't see a Stoneforge Mystic or any super fair package for them to juke onto. Killing Doorkeeper Thrall matters a little bit, but I have a bunch of ways to do that. I think I'm going to turn 2 Dazes into 2 Go for the Throats and just hope that it works. Or I could go 1 and 1. This is tough. The situations where Daze is good are when they're under a ton of pressure and they just have to make something happen, which this deck is kind of medium at doing. I think I'm going to go 1 and 1, just +1 Go for the Throat. I just don't think either of these cards is really going to answer Dreadnought, so what else is going on in the deck? Never mind. I talked myself into it. I don't think I'll ever Daze to blow out a Dreadnought line, and Go for the Throat doesn't kill Dreadnought. So why am I worried about one card that doesn't answer Dreadnought over another card that doesn't answer Dreadnought but is better in other places? That's how I'm choosing to think about that. Okay, Frog hand. One of the 2 Dazes I left in the deck in the opening hand, which is where it's going to be good, if it's ever going to be good. Opponent mulled to 6, and let on a tap land. That lets me fetch at least once this game. They kept their card on top. Fatal Push, okay. They have a card on top of their deck that they actually like. I could look at their top card right now and get information about the rest of their hand based on if that's a land or if it's a spell. Or I could just do the self-setup line, and I think I'm just going to set myself up here. I think my cards are more important than their cards. Wasteland. I want that. There's no spot to play around Stifle here if I want to keep the card. So I will just play Underground Sea. I think if they mull to 6 and lead on a tap land, having Wasteland around is solid, especially with the one of Daze in my hand. This keeps Daze relevant longer. They may or may not play Urza Saga in their list. We haven't seen it yet, and I think it's falling out of favor in general. But it could be there. A Wasteland. I'm going to pass. My plan is to Wasteland in their upkeep, but we'll see what happens in the end step. Doorkeeper Thrall happens in the end step. I'm going to Wasteland Meticulous Archive in response, and I'm going to let them have the Thrall. I think we get a more interesting fight if I push the Thrall in response to a Dreadnought and then Daze to protect it. Okay, Fatal Push. Please be a blowout. They had a follow-up land, so Daze doesn't actually protect me here. Ooh, they have Force of Will. That's bad. Uh-oh, I might have blown it. I could have just Force of Will the Dreadnought too to play around Daze. Alright, well, we suddenly need a removal spell quickly. They've threaded the needle. If we just draw a Fatal Push or Brazen Borrower, I think we win immediately. But we do have to do those things. It's non-negotiable. Psychic Frog, get in there. This is my last chance to hit again. And if they just leave back Doorkeeper Thrall, I don't even get to draw a card. They did not leave back Thrall. Oh no, I could have blocked the Thrall. I could have blocked and killed the Thrall, and I just didn't think of doing it. I think it's fine. Okay, Brainstorm's another dig. I'm going to attack with Frog first. I get to see 5 cards this turn. Tundra, looks like I'm getting Swords to Plowshared. Oh. Okay, I'm going to Daze this. Or I'm going to start with Brainstorm, then I'm going to Daze. Or do I want to Brainstorm second main? Because I don't have a shuffle in between. I actually lose seeing a card if I Brainstorm now. Interesting. Okay. I also lose seeing a card if they block. It's the same thing. Okay, I guess I just let them block then. Okay, you can block if you want. And then I guess I lose a card anyway is an excuse to actually Brainstorm before block, so then I at least know what's going on. Yeah, all of that was a mess. Okay. I Brainstorm now, which I should have done before blocks, and hope there's a Fatal Push. There's not. Ponder could still get me there. Put away Murktide Regent. Can't get to 13/13 this turn, unfortunately. Put back Murktide Regent and one of these Force of Wills. And then I'm going to discard the Underground Sea to actually get the kill here. And then I'm going to shuffle with Ponder. I'm going to shuffle, then I'm going to Ponder, and it has to be Fatal Push. Join to a 3-outer. Underground Sea, Ponder, 4 looks at 3 outs. Come on, deck. Orcish Bowmaster, Psychic Frog, Tameo. Those don't do it. Big Shuffle. Netherglyph. That's the wrong black card. 5. I could block for 5. I would have been at 6 if I made that block last turn. None of that absorbs the Phyrexian Dreadnought attack, though. Yeah, I chose not to Daze that Doorkeeper Thrall earlier because I was going to fight over it with some other stuff. And turns out that was a huge spew. I'll finally cast this Daze that started the game in my hand. And still just lose anyway. Yeah, I gave myself a line where it was the best line if everything worked, but you should never plan for everything to work. I did not check my boxes. I played kind of bad there. All right, GG. That was a message in losing sight of who is doing what in the game. I needed to play like I'm the control deck, and I tried to play like I'm the aggro deck. Also, another thing, people in my comments all the time talking about, like, you know, why didn't you go completely all in on this insane line that gets blown out by everything? And I usually respond because it gets blown out by everything. And that was a tiny little example of that. I took the line that is awesome if A, they don't have a counterspell, B, they don't have a land, C, they just don't have a Dreadnought, and they had land Dreadnought counterspell. So I lost a game where I just had a handful of answers to stuff. Loosey-goosey. On to the next round. The BoshNRoll channel is proudly partnered with the Resleevables.
Good. All right, here we go, gang.
In this YouTube series, hosts Cedric Phillips and Patrick Sullivan take us on a set-by-set journey through the good, the bad, and the ugly of Magic's history. Each episode is a focused deep dive into the facts about a set's design and release, the Magic lore expressed through the cards in that set, Tournament Edition gameplay videos featuring products and Pro Tour decks of the era, an award show that shouts out the best and weirdest cards of the set, and a final grade for the set's overall success. Whether you want a history lesson or a nostalgia hit, The Resleevables has it at youtube.com/theresleevables.
I'm on the play in round 4 with 1,000 Dazes and a Psychic Frog. Let's go. All in Psychic Frog gaming. My plan is to fetch my Undercity Sewers this turn and get a little selection. If my opponent does something powerful that needs to be dazed, I'll just fetch an Underground Sea instead. Opponent mull to 5. We'll see if that means there's some busted combo deck or if they are just unlucky. Mountain Vexing Bauble. Well, shit. That turns off every card in my hand except Psychic Frog. Though if they are Red Prison, if I resolve Psychic Frog, that's probably going to be enough to just win. All right, I'm going to put Island on top and actually let this Bauble resolve, which is wild, but I'm just betting that Psychic Frog is better than what they're going to do. If this is Painter and they have main deck Pyroblasts, they have effective ways to clear this, and my hand looks like shit. Okay, it's definitely Painter. We're in trouble. Goblin Engineer that I cannot interact with. Can Red Prison play Vexing Bauble? Is that even something I should be thinking about at all? Brainstorm. I like that card. I'll cast it. Got a bunch of removal. I got Graveyard Hate in the deck. Okay, a bunch of Goyfs. I'm going to put back Daze and Force of Will. I'm never going to Force of Will this game. I could hardcast a Daze at some point. They didn't block, which means I'm going to fetch Basic Swamp before I draw a card. Draw. I'd love a Fatal Push. Orcish Bowmaster. Not really what I was looking for. Not horrible, though. I'm just going to play 2 Nether Goyfs. Try to get the beats coming. Goyf, Goyf. And pass the turn. Right now, the only artifact they have to sacrifice to Goblin Engineer is the Vexing Bauble. Though I am dead next turn. If I don't come up with a removal spell or Graveyard Hate. Too late for Graveyard Hate, actually. Agatha's Soul Cauldron. Okay. That actually impacts the size of my Nether Goyfs. Though they did just tap out of putting Painter's Servant into play. I like that. Another Frog. Okay, I'm going to attack with all my creatures. Here they come. No blocks. I could cast 2 Dazes this turn. Alright, I'm just going to let damage happen. I could discard a Daze. Okay, now they're eating my Brainstorm. I'm going to discard Daze. That keeps my squad bigger. Damage done. Draw a card. Please be good. Oh, sick. I can kill Goblin Engineer right now. I think that's got to be right. They can't buff it because they've used their Soul Cauldron already. The old double Bowmaster strategy. I suddenly have a lot of damage on the board. If they pop this Vexing Bauble, they take a gajillion. They missed their land drop last turn, which means it's going to make it really hard to put a Painter into play and Grindstone me this turn. And they're just done. Okay. The old Vexing Bauble mind-twisting me and then just winning with 1-drops. Good stuff. I like Snuff Out. I like Engineered Explosives. Brazen Borrower. Consigned to Memory seems insane here. Painter Servant turns it off. There's still triggered abilities. The Painter turns off colorless spells. Barrogoyf's interesting. It's just a big O. Harbinger of the Seas turns off Urza's Saga. But I have a bunch of Wastelands that can just do that. Go for the Throat kills the non-Painter creatures in the deck, the various goblins. Okay, I hate Force of Will versus Painter because they have Pyroblasts. Daze pretty unreliable also. And we've seen Vexing Bauble in the main. I'm just playing this whole match to the board. You can't stop me. It's going to be Removal Spell and Creature City. In between Grafdigger's Cage, Harbinger, Barrogoyf, Go for the Throat. I get 3 more slots here. I think I want to Go for the Throat. The Harbingers are really only good against Urza Saga, but that card is pretty important. I have Engineered Explosives that can battle Urza Saga. Engineered Explosives, Stifle, and Wasteland are all good against Urza Saga. In a pinch, you can consign an Urza Saga trigger as well. The ability to make tokens or the search are things you can counter. You can't counter make a construct because that's an activated ability. Barrogoyf, just gigantic monster. I don't think I want to Barrogoyf them. I'm going to go with the Harbingers. Just turning off that engine is important enough to me. Okay, I like my hand. It is, once again, bad against Vexing Bauble, though we'll see if Vexing Bauble's even in their deck anymore after the embarrassing showing from last game. Didn't do it on turn 1. Bauble. I'm going to Bauble myself. I don't need an Underground Sea, so I am going to fetch. And then cast Ponder. I don't think they're going to Blood Moon me out of their turn 1 Urza Saga hand. Double Tameo Bowmaster. These cards are not even good. Bowmaster is good if they play exactly Goblin Welder next turn, but I'm not interested. The Tameos are just too bad. And I'd have to draw all of them because I have a Bauble trigger loading. Okay. Found a Brainstorm off the shuffle, and Bowmaster. That's the one of the 3 cards that I would have kept maybe off the Ponder. So this worked out as good as possible. They are fully Saga gaming here. Double Bowmaster for me. I think I'm just going to Bowmaster their end-step construct while it's a 1/1, and then see what happens. Because I can also snuff out a Painter if they don't name black. Them having 0 other artifacts is so weird right now that I feel like I have to capitalize on it. Okay, they just took 2 damage to give me a target for Bowmaster. And I have Engineered Explosives to follow up if I don't die this turn. They go to 16. They get to tutor something. Could even be Vexing Bauble, though I don't think they're going to be on that. Soul Guide Lantern. Okay. I did bash them with Nethergoyfs in game 1. Great Furnace. Every one of their lands right now is affected by Harbinger of the Seas if I rip it. They bolted my Bowmaster. Psychic Frog. I think I want to brainstorm, see what I can make happen, and then I have the option to cast Psychic Frog afterwards. Stifle and Tameo and Fatal Push. Okay, all those cards are good. I think I'm going to put Frog back on top of the deck and just play Tameo and leave up Fatal Push. This gives me a bunch of options how I want to move forward with the game. Lightning Bolting Tameo, okay. I think I want to push this construct, or I can chump it for a turn, because the Orc army would die to Engineered Explosive anyway. I don't need to commit to a Fatal Push when they have other good creatures in their deck. I'm going to start frogging. It sucks that Pyroblast is so good against this, but let's start getting those out of their hand, because they'll be good eventually. Yep, that's fine. Grindstone, okay. That's fine. I think I am just going to push this at this point. I have Snuff out for a Painter. They would have to know to name black. Now, do I want to play Psychic Frog, which is my best card, into what is very likely a Pyroblast? I think the answer is no, because I can Bowmaster instead. And if they do something like draw a card off Soul Guide Lantern in the end step, I could get an extra ping. But if they think I'm Rescaminator, they may never crack that Soul Guide Lantern. Here's Bowmaster. I'm just going to apply pressure. If they're going to play Draw Go, I am going to reduce their life total while they do that. Multiple Stifles. Didn't really want the first one, and now I've got 2. Lucky me. Lightning Bolt spent on Bowmaster. I feel like the way they've been playing their hand has to be more Pyroblasts, but this is still the card that I have that I could cast right now. And I don't play Hydroblast or Thoughtseize or anything that's going to get through this Pyroblast any other way. Yeah, sure. I'm pushing damage with more cards in my hand than them, which is what I have going on that they don't. I'm not going to stifle that. I'm still pushing damage with more cards in my hand. They're still over the tapping their Ancient Tomb. Then they untapped it. I wonder if they drew Painter and they're just deciding how they're choosing to play around it. Phyrexian Dragon Engine. Okay, that's just a huge creature. 2/2 double strike actually is kind of scary. Not anymore, it's not. Biggest creature you've ever seen. Can't Pyroblast, can't Lightning Bolt. Nethergoyf, holding the fort. They could ram Dragon Engine into Nethergoyf just to get the card draw. Chose to do nothing at all instead. Also respectable. I will not be doing nothing at all. I'm going to attack for 4. I'm fine with a chump block. Silken's on. Okay, this is no longer a chump block. This is a good stifle, though. That just blocks that for way too long, or they could trade off with it, which I'm not okay with. All right, yeah, they're just jumping off the Dragon Engine. And I can let them unearth the engine, then stifle the draw 3 cards trigger. Okay, I want them to unearth because I want it out of the graveyard. I don't want them to draw 3 cards. Stifle that part of it. If their last card in hand is Pyroblast, this is going to work out perfectly for them. Oof. All right. Fair enough. You get your 3 cards. I should probably start thinking about just sitting Engineered Explosives on 2 in play. I think I'll do that next turn. I also am just going to take 4 here. They're not a deck that kills with damage, and my Orc army dealing 1 might end up mattering. They are tapping Ancient Tomb over there. If they tap Ancient Tomb once, the Orc army takes a turn off the clock. I like that. Attack. I'm going to play Nile Spellbomb. I think I'm going to play the Explosives for 2 right now. And I'm going to hope that if they have Painter, they don't know they're supposed to name black. Fable of the Mirror Breaker. That creature's not black. Another Fable. That creature's also not black. But now they have 2 of them. Maybe once I played the Spellbomb and couldn't blow the Explosives anyway, I was just supposed to hold that back in case a different number made sense. Because now we're at the point where 0 would have won the game. And instead I have this thing on 2 that doesn't matter. I drew a Wasteland off Spellbomb trigger. Very happy to see Brainstorm. And we get some good cards. Another Goyf Ponder. Wasteland doesn't matter. Underground Sea doesn't matter. Ponder. Yeah, this would have been lethal if I just made sense of what I was doing. I think playing Explosives on 2 makes sense if I don't also play Nile Spellbomb. And they had the 4th Pyroblast of the game. This is why we board out Force of Will. We're going to see a chump block here because they literally have to. Then I'm going to play another lethal threat. And they're going to have 1 turn and see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cards to come up with Painter Servant and then name black. And I think adding the Goyf does make sense here because I have the Snuff Out they don't know about. Discarded both cards. That's one down. Second Fable. Discarded both cards. Okay, so their hand right now would have to be Painter, name black, or Painter, name blue, plus Pyroblast. They're spending 5 mana on something, including using Ancient Tomb to do it. Oh, this could be Fury. It is Fury. That doesn't even kill a creature. That rules. Another Goyf. 2 strong. If they have Fury plus Lightning Bolt, this game's going to end up being really long, actually. They did have exactly 3 to put on that Goblin Engineer. Okay, I win. No, I don't. They have to chump 2 things, and then... Oh, God. Ensnaring Bridge in the graveyard. Okay. This game became more complicated than I had to because I played that Engineered Explosives, and I have to draw through these shitty cards. Oh, no, I do have the win. Jeez, never mind. I panicked for a minute, but we're actually fine because one of their blockers is a 2-drop. All right, Engineered Explosives ends up doing the thing, eventually. Boop. Smell you later. Attack for 5. A turn later than I needed to. And this... Like, I don't like making mistakes, obviously. I don't like making mistakes and missing lethal and those sort of things. But also it's good to showcase how important it is to play perfectly to get every point out of decks like this one. There are some decks where you just kind of make the binary choice over and over again. Like the blue-white decks I really like are just sort of like, does this kill me? Can I stop it? And I just make that choice over and over again until one of us runs out of resources. And a combo deck is just sort of like, can I put the complicated pieces together one time? But decks like this one, something as simple as like, last turn, it made sense to play Explosives on 2. I'll do that next turn. And then I didn't adjust for the fact that I drew a 1-drop, and then it made no sense to play the Engineered Explosives anymore. And then I missed lethal. Well, I missed a lethal line. I didn't have access to it, but I could have had a lethal line if I just sandbagged the Explosives. And then I had to come up with a different situation, different way to get over the finish line. And just like that last game against Dreadnought, where choosing when and how to fight over the Doorkeeper throw cost me the match, If you are exploring Legacy and you picked up a deck like this one, like you just saw, like, oh, Burnt Taco won that $50,000 tournament, this deck must be good, and then you can't get a win with it, this is where it's happening. It's happening in the sequencing, it's happening in the cantripping, it's happening in the sideboarding. These decks are just awesome. I love them. It's an extremely skill-testing deck. Even if Psychic Frog ends up being too good for the format, even if Delver's annoying that it's always near the top of the format, this is a combat-oriented deck that also is very hard to play correctly, and I think that's fine to be at the top of the format. Okay, I'm done monologuing. On to the final round.
We're a few rounds into the video. Thanks for sticking with me. Friendly reminder that if you're still here and having fun, smash that subscribe button. And if you want to play what I'm playing, you can use my affiliate link for TCG Player to support the channel while you shop for cards, and you can try any deck anytime with a cardhoarder.com loan account for Magic Online. All these links are in the video description below. Now back to the league.
I'm on the play in the final round, positive record on the line. I'm going to keep this. One drop, waste you, kill your shit. That's the plan. Let's see if it works out. Have to get Underground Sea because my hand doesn't function any other way here. And it's one of those spots where even if Wasteland does take me off colors for a turn or two, if they're wasting me from behind a 1-drop, they're taking damage the whole time. Basic Island, broken. Did not shuffle their Ponder. I'm going to Brainstorm. It makes Goyf bigger, and I'd like to get rid of these Wastelands if I can. I'll put the 2 Wastelands back on top. Now I'm holding up Stifle, Force of Will, and Daze. Tempo, Gaming to the max. Basic Plains. I probably have to force this. I wonder if this is the Dreadnought deck again. Stoneforge Mystic. Okay. I am going to Daze that. I have Fatal Push, I have Force of Will, I have Stifle, any one of which would have interacted with Stoneforge Mystic in an interesting way. But if they're playing a bunch of basic lands, I would like to keep my hard counters and the ability to stifle a fetch land and those sort of things available to me as the game unfolds. I could have even let them have Stoneforge Mystic, then let them activate Stoneforge Mystic, and once they're 4-mana into it, stifle the Germ Trigger on their Cauldron. But I can do that anytime. I can't just keep dazing forever. Upkeep Swords to Plowshares. I think I'm going to let this go and try to Brainstorm into a fresh threat. This Brainstorm sees 3 new cards. My deck plays a lot of threats. Hate to spend 2 cards when I don't have to. Looks like I would have benefited from spending 2 cards, but that's okay. I'm going to play Swamp and Nile Spellbomb. I think leaving up the Stifle for a turn is worth it over tapping out of my interaction to shuffle this my deck with a Ponder immediately. 3 mana in the pool. Back to basics. Okay. Yeah, I mean, this is a card that we need to fight over. Force pitching Stifle. Uh-oh, they got me back. Well, you have back to basics in play. Now I'm redrawing Wasteland. I could give up my last blue mana to Ponder. I think that's the best thing I can do here with this. I do play a basic island if I just find a fetch land. Found a Nether Goyf, but that's a full commitment to this shitter getting the job done. It's only 2-3, or it'll be 3-4 when this Ponder's done resolving, and I can make it 4-5 off the Nile Spellbomb. Nether Goyf versus Shuffle. I think I shuffle. Ended up with another Fatal Push in my hand. And one important thing that's happening in this match that I really want to make a point out of is my opponent is able to settle into this Stoneforge Mystic 2-for-1, Swords to Plowshares 1-for-1, Force of Will, get a lock piece into play game plan versus my deck full of creatures, because they don't have to worry about me shredding their hand for 0 mana and then pivoting into Reanimator combo. Those are just completely different things to worry about. I popped my Spellbomb in response to Teferi just in case I drew Daze. But us here talking about, like, who needs Daze, this Dimir Tempo deck's already, or who needs Grief, this Dimir Tempo deck's already good. That's true, but also, the counterplay for a deck like this one, you fucker. Daze, after the Teferi resolves, after they tapped out into Daze to play Teferi, I draw Daze. The worst possible outcome for everybody. You have a Dress Down coming. And from here, it will depend on what the win conditions in their deck are. If they are Mono Stoneforge Mystic, I can actually push a couple of those. The sick line here would be play Dress Down, draw a card, bounce Dress Down with Teferi, draw a card, and then still have Dress Down in your hand. if they don't have something better to do. And they just have a Stoneforge, so it's fine. They don't need to take that line yet. They went straight to the top for Cauldra. They have one unknown card in hand. I hope it's not Counterspell. Push this Stoneforge. It's gone. We did it. And I drew a threat, but they can bounce it 2 times in a row because Teferi's going to be on 7 before I play this thing. Yep, Teferi's on 7. Go for the throat. Teferi doesn't have a throat, unfortunately. This is misery. I would love to concede, but we are technically still playing the game. They haven't presented a win condition yet. If they go through all their cards and still can't answer another Goyf somehow. Okay. End step Prismatic Ending's pretty good. That means Teferi could just stay cranking. Let's go up to 8, 9, 10. Teferi on 25. It could happen right now. They pondered into a Stoneforge Mystic. I have another answer for that. Cryptic Coat is going to be a real threat that wins the game eventually, though. Basic Island suddenly unlocked. Big if true. I'm going to go for the Stoneforge Mystic's Throat and save Fatal Push. It's just my more efficient card in a spot where I'm not doing 2 things anyway. One Stoneforge Mystic left in the deck, but Cryptic Coat will do plenty on its own. I think they forgot to activate Teferi. Moral Victory. Oh. Bounce Teferi. Does that even do anything? Nothing does anything is the problem. You can bounce back to basics, but I can't fight it on the way back down. It doesn't matter. I could bounce Teferi, daze it on the way back down, and that picks up an Underground Sea and resets it at least, even if it doesn't get countered. Okay. Now I have instants available to me, and them bouncing a Teferi on 8 without ever drawing a card might scare them into just Teferi minus, and then I can sneak Psychic Frog in. But they have Dress Down, which can Fog the Frog. Daze Teferi, at least tap you out of mana, and I'd like to reset my C. Daze is paid for. The opponent went and answered their door for like 9 minutes. You can see their clock is just way down, and they forgot to activate Teferi in the process. Unfortunately, it doesn't matter. They're still way ahead. But we are suddenly gaming. I don't want to play to the clock, but sometimes if you go AFK for 10 minutes, it ends up being a live out. Plussing Teferi is horrifying. If Psychic Frog's just in play, it's free to bounce and draw a card, and they're just like, I don't care. They have it under control. And they have a 3/2, which means I have to discard 2 cards before Psychic Frog can tangle with this thing in combat, and then they could just Swords to Plowshare it, or whatever the hell. Okay, they are attacking. That at least makes my choices easier. Because if they plus Teferi and leave Cloak back to block, now I have to even think if I want to try attacking. I guess I give it flying rather than discard cards. Now I will just attack, though. Dress Down's still live as a fog. I'm not going to try to interact with Teferi. I just don't think that's a winning plan, no matter what's going on here. Upkeep, Snapcaster Mage. Gross. And I fired that Nile Spellbomb 100 turns ago just to try to move forward with the game, which I think was correct at the time, but I am reaping what I sow at this point. At least they gave me a target for this handful of Fatal Pushes. Ponder. That's a spell I could cast. Daze, Fatal Push, Stifle. None of these are remotely good. Shuffle. Undercity Sewers. Might as well get the selection. There's that damn Fatal Push. Okay, I've drawn all 4 Fatal Pushes this game, after drawing 0 Fatal Pushes versus decks with creatures in them. It is beautiful what my opponent's doing. It sucks that I'm losing, but also they've played 5 lands. They're all basic. Back to basics actually has a huge impact on this game. Jace the Mind Sculptor just resolved, and they are immediately fate sealing me. Force of Will. Not a particularly useful card. I will burn off my Underground Sea to get this Breeze of Borrower into play. Just literally a thing I can do. They have 2 onboard answers to it. Brainstorm. Swords to Plowshares. That's basically Time Walk. I get a whole extra turn to do stuff now. That is the amount of damage they're attacking for every turn. And they Fate Sealed me with Jace, left the card there. Okay, I can Fatal Push this Cloak and pay the Ward 2, which at least temporarily takes the pressure off, though they are very close to casting Cauldra, at which point things will be much worse for me. Okay. They flipped it up and it's Snapcaster Mage. I think they may have misclicked and meant to bounce the Cryptic Coat, but instead they turned their cloak face up. That is the same cost to do both of those things. That's fun. Okay, so they have at least 2 Snapcaster Mages in their deck, and then had Spell Pierce afterwards. Okay, yeah, that was definitely a misclick. But they're so far ahead, it doesn't matter. Then here comes Cauldra. I'm dead in 2 hits. I'm at 2. I'll take 1 more draw step and then lose. Interesting, they switched to Brainstorming now on Jace after Fate Sealing twice before. With me dead on board, I feel like now's the time to Fate Seal, even more than the other 2 turns where it happened. Okay, Wasteland is not the game winner. To the sideboard we go. I like Brazen Borrower. They can play around Daze pretty well. I actually do like Force of Will. I don't like 2 Nile Spellbomb. I might like 1. We've seen enough Snapcaster Mages where a little bit of that is helpful. I think I want the Barrow Goyfs. Engineered Explosives can not help me here because I only can make 2 colors of mana. All right, you're back out. Snuff out, go for the throat. I really hate to add forces to my deck in a fair matchup, but seeing Teferi Back to Basics and Jace the Mind Sculptor is different than like a Delver Mirror. Do I want more removal? I could add a Go for the Throat or a Snuff Out. That could be just 1 more answer to Stoneforge Mystic. I think I want that more than the second Brazen Borrower. Yeah, I think this is what I'm going to do. And just try to get ahead and stay there. My hand is solid. I will keep it. It's the whole Goyf family rolling out here. Starting as a 0. But we all started somewhere. Barrow Goyf is the real one. Oh, baby. I will play another Nether Goyf and pass the turn. I'm not going to waste myself to get 1 power into play. Insta Brainstorm. Prismatic Vista from the opponent. Wasteland can target itself if I need to just do something. I don't really want to play against this card, and I do want to have spells in my graveyard. Ponder or Brainstorm are my best draw right now. A Brainstorm, move stuff around, find a fetch land, we did it. Okay. Now the question is, do I play out Tameo or do I hold up Stifle? They don't have access to white right now, which is the color that matters the most. I think I'm going to put back Nether Goyf and Tameo, and then I'm going to fetch before combat for the basic island to add damage to the board. Attack. Okay. We are in heavy at this point. Fetch land, I love it. Stifle that shit. Everything's going to plan. No white mana, no third mana. No white is really the sick part here. They did not shuffle Ponder. Basic Swamp. I'm going to play Barrow Goyf pre-combat in case it gets countered. All right, we're in. Goyf army, rolling. All in. F6. Nothing to do here except ride the wave. Barrow Goyf does count all graveyards compared to the Nether Goyfs that only count mine. Barrow's gone. Bonus at 9. End step Dress Down. That's a good answer to Nether Goyf. Tameo, get in there. You could do something someday. And we're passing the turn. This White Knuckle Ride. Ponder. Ponder did not shuffle. Ending the Tameo, valuing the card advantage more than the damage. That might mean they have another Dress Down here. Didn't happen before combat. Orcish Bowmaster, that's nice here. Attack, attack. And I think I want a Bowmaster now, because if they counter it, it's more damage, which is everything that's going on right now. They ended up brainstorming in response. That's fine. It makes the brainstorm awkward. Okay. That's in. If they set up a Terminus, I am almost certainly dead. I'd be surprised if this deck has Terminus in it, but it could be something out of the sideboard. Okay, they just scooped. Nice. Balls to the walls. Now I'm on the draw. Does anything change? I don't think so. Kind of like that. I started blasting game plan. Okay, let's go. Now they're going to play around Stifle. They've seen it. And unfortunately, because of their little liaison, they're at 5 minutes on the clock to my 17.5. They might struggle to win, even if this is just a a stomping, and if it goes back and forth at all, I don't think we're going to finish this match. But let's see what happens. That could incentivize them to just hurl Stoneforge Mystic into play and, YOLO it. I'll look at my top card. It's Tamiyo. That means I have Force Blue card available. Goyf, arriving with stats this game. Another Bauble. I'm just going to hold this till they fetch. Not in a hurry to use it. Okay, here's the fetch. There's an island. Bauble you now. Stoneforge Mystic. That is the YOLO slam that I mentioned. I will force Stoneforge Mystic. I just think that is correct here. Counterbalance. I'm more worried about Stoneforge Mystic. Okay, draw for turn. I'm going to play a creature, and I'm going to play it pre-combat. Whether it's Bowmaster or Frog is the tension. I think Frog is better, because being able to answer Stoneforge Mystic is going to be the important part. They have an island on top of their deck. If they force this, I will force back. Force pitching Jace. Force pitching Tamiyo, while I know this is going to work. All of this makes Nether Goyf bigger. In for 2. I could even discard Wasteland to make Nether Goyf bigger still. I'm actually going to do that. Just try to get this over with. Don't think that Wasteland's going to help me much. The third island doesn't even cast Stoneforge. Back to basics, don't care. Underground Sea. There's still not a creature in my graveyard, so I'm going to pre-combat the Orcish Bowmaster. Okay, Flooded Strand on top of the deck does represent white mana. But I've got a lot here. I could dump this Underground Sea. I think having access to blue at least one more time is worth more than 1 damage, though. If they fetch, they're at 7, 3, 4, 5. I could also put a creature in the graveyard at will now. Pretty sure I can overpower the Stoneforge Mystic, if that's what they're doing. Oh god, fetching red? What is this for? This also is locks under your own back to basics. Pyroblast the Frog, okay. Yeah, that's the power of Psychic Frog. My opponent is just, like, dead on board to every other creature I have, and they're like, gotta get rid of that one. Okay, they have Stoneforge Mystic in hand that they can't cast. They can't draw cards, they can't fetch. Even basic planes, they just die to combat. Luckily, the clock didn't matter, but GG's. I mean, they may have played that last game differently because their clock was so low, so it's hard to say the clock didn't matter, but we did actually win. Positive record. This deck felt really good. We got to showcase a bunch of the cool stuff that the deck does. Nether Goyf was huge. I never connected with a Barrow Goyf, but they are over here chilling, doing their thing. They did need to be answered a couple times. They would have been insane versus Eldrazi if they came up. We got to showcase a couple other important things too, both of which I talked about as the game was played. One of them is how playing this deck is different than playing well with this deck, which is different than playing perfectly with this deck. And all 3 of those tiers will experience very different results with the same cards. The other thing is that game 1 against Stoneblade, where they were able to play that kind of classic removal spell, cantrip, to fairy, back to basics, eventually take over kind of game. That game plan is possible because Grief and Entomb Reanimate are not in my deck, which is a glimpse into the future where whatever Wizards of the Coast does at the end of August to knock down Rescaminator, we could see a window open for decks like that Stoneforge deck, which is extra cool because with the presence of Eldrazi, cards like Back to Basics and Harbinger of the Seas gain a lot of stock in control decks because Eldrazi is typically horrible, but you can build your deck to just have main deck cards that completely swing it. We got to see a lot more in this league than just the cards being played. A lot of deep philosophical legacy stuff was explored here, was showcased. Feels good. This was a super productive league. Really awesome deck that gives us the ability to have these conversations. John, thank you for giving me the runway to play this deck. Burnt Taco, congrats on your big tournament win. Keep making awesome legacy decks. Everyone, thanks for watching. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe. Check out the Patreon, and I'll see you next time.